Hare Krishna. Summary of Canto 4, Chapter 1. Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. In the previous canto, Vidura requested Maitreya Muni to speak about Swayambhuva Manu's dynasty. Maitreya first described about Manu's second daughter Devahuti, her marriage with Kartama Muni, their family life, followed by the different activities and teachings of their only son Kapila. But the descendants of Devahuti's daughters were not described. So here in Canto 4, Chapter 1, Maitreya begins to describe the lineage of Devahuti's daughters and also that of Manu's other two daughters, Akuti and Prasuti. Swayambhuva Manu begot in his wife Shatarupa three daughters, namely Akuti, Devahuti and Prasuti. Manu, in consultation with his wife Shatarupa, handed over Akuti to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her would be given back to Manu as his son. Sometimes a sonless person adopts the son of his daughter as his own to inherit the property. This is called as Putrika Dharma. Swayambhuva Manu already had two sons. Still, he kept this condition at the time of Akuti's marriage because he knew that the Supreme Lord will be born from his daughter Akuti. Prajapati Ruchi, who was a Brahma Varchasvi, begot in Akuti Yajna, an incarnation of the Lord, and Dakshina, a partial incarnation of Lakshmi. Manu brought home Yajna very happily and Ruchi kept Dakshina with him. Manu was afraid that his son-in-law Ruchi might be sorry for taking away his son. But Manu was glad that a daughter was also born along with the boy. Later on, Yajna married Dakshina and begot in her 12 children: Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swahna, Sudeva and Rochana. Together they were all called as the Tushitas. Although both Yajna and Dakshina appeared from Akuti simultaneously, they are Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi, who is the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. So therefore they are beyond this material creation and their relationship is eternal and it cannot be changed. So therefore it was perfectly fine that they were married. Now, the six kinds of beings who are presiding during the Swayambhuva Manvantara were: Swayambhuva Manu was the Manu, who is the chief progenitor. The Manuputras, or the son of Manus, were Uttanapada and Priyavrata. The Devas, or the demigods, were the Tushitas. The Sureshwara, or the king of the demigods, Indra, was Lord Yajna himself. And then the Rishis, or the great sages, were Marichi and others. And the Amshavataras were actually Lord Yajna himself. The six type of beings who preside in a Manvantara are all manifestations of the Supreme Lord. These six beings change every Manvantara. And later in Canto 8, we will see the different names of the six beings for all the 14 Manvantaras of the current day of Lord Brahma. Now, Manu handed over Devahuti to Kardama, which we have already seen. Manu then handed over Prasuti to Daksha, whose descendants actually spread throughout the three worlds. Now, the descendants of the 9 daughters of Devahuti and Kardama would be described. Kala, who was the daughter of Kardama and Devahuti, married Marichi, and they had 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima. Purnima begot 2 sons, Viraja and Vishwaga, and a daughter, Devakulya, who became the divine Ganga from washing the Lord's feet in another birth. The daughter named Anasuya was given to Atri. The descendants of Anasuya and Atri are Dattatreya, Durvasa and Soma, and they were Amshas of Vishnu, Shiva and Brahma respectively. The daughter by the name Shraddha was given to Angira. They had 4 daughters, Sunivali, Kuhu, Raka, Anumati, and 2 sons, Utatya and Brihaspati. Havirbhu was given to Pulatsya, and they had 2 sons, Agastya, who became Daharagni in his next life, and Vishrava. Vishrava and Idavida with his first wife begot Kubera. Vishrava with his second wife Keshini begot Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. The next daughter Gati was given to Pulaha, and three sages called as Karmashrestha, Varyan and Sahishnu were their descendants. The next daughter Kriya was given to Kratu, and 60,000 great sages called as the Valakilyas were begotten by them. And because they all retired from family life, they took up Vanaprastha and they lived in the forest. Next, Urja or Arundhati was given to Vasishta, and 7 sages were born from them: Chitraketu, Surochi, Viraja, Mitra, Ulbana, Vasubhradyana and Bhuman. The next daughter, Chitti or Shanti, was given to Atharva, and Ashvashira or Dadyansha was born from them. The next daughter was Kyati. She was married to Brigu, and they had 2 sons, Data and Vidata, and 1 daughter, Shri. Data and Ayati had Mrikanda, from whom Markandeya Muni was the descendant. And then Vidata and Niyati had Prana, and later Vedashira and Ushana took birth. Ushana as Shukracharya or Kavi. So now Vidura inquired, how is it that the 3 deities, the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni? So at that time Maitreya described, he said, ordered by Brahma to create, Atri Muni went to Riksha mountain with his wife Anasuya to perform very severe austerities. There the river Nirvindya flows, and its banks have many Panasha and Ashoka trees. Atri Muni performed severe austerities. He controlled his mind and breath, and he remained standing in one leg for 100 years, eating nothing but air. Atri thought, may the Lord of the universe, Jagadishvara, of whom I have taken shelter, offer me a son exactly like him. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva appear. By the virtue of his pranayama, a blazing fire came out of Atri's head, burning the 3 worlds, and the 3 principal deities saw this and went to Atri's hermitage along with the Gandharvas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas and Nagas. The Lord of the universe, the Super Soul, perceived the fire of Atri's penance, and by his direction, Shiva and Brahma perceived it and came to Atri. Now Atri was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw the 3 deities, he eagerly approached them, who were seated on a bull, swan and Garuda, holding a drum, pusha grass and a disc respectively. Atri offered them all his respects. And then Atri was very pleased to see that they were very gracious towards him. He closed his eyes for some time due to the dazzling effulgence, and then gathering his senses with folded palms, he began to offer them prayers with sweet words. Atri Muni asked, whom did I call? O Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, you have divided yourself into 3 bodies by accepting the 3 gunas as you do in every millennium for creation, maintenance and dissolution. I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. Whom among you have I called in my prayers? Atri actually called for Lord Jagadishvara, but he was not sure who that Jagadishvara was. That is, he was doubtful about the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he asked whom he had called. Also, Atri's statement, you have accepted bodies by the material gunas, was made out of ignorance about Vishnu's position, since it is impossible for the Lord to have a body made of material sattva. The 3 lords remained silent, and so Atri clarified his statement. He said, I actually called out for 1 lord desiring a son like him, but 3 of you have come. So please be very merciful unto me and tell me how this has happened, and I am totally bewildered. Hearing his words, the 3 great deities smiled and they replied to him as follows. They said, since you are a Satya Sankalpa, whatever you wished will be fulfilled. We all 3 are the same person upon whom you were meditating. Because their activities are creation, maintenance, destruction of the universe, any one of these three may be considered as the Lord of the universe, Jagadishwara. Atri Muni did not specifically mention whom he wanted, so all the three came before him. They said, "You will have sons who will represent a partial manifestation of our potency and will spread your reputation." In order to show that Vishnu is actually the supreme lord among them, Vishnu became Dattatreya, an avatar, and not the other two. Then the three lords disappeared. From then, Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvasa appeared from Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shankara, respectively. There is a Parashruti for this section. The universe is populated by the descendants of the daughters of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Those who faithfully hear the genealogical line of Devahuti will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Next, the genealogical line of Prasuti is discussed. Daksha and Prasuti begot 16 beautiful daughters. Prasuti's daughters were 13 daughters. The first 13 daughters were Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Shanti, Tushti, Pushti, Kriya, Unnati, Buddhi, Meda, Titiksha, Kri, and Murti. They all married Dharma, the first 13 daughters, and their descendants were the 13 sons: Shubha, Prasada, Abhaya, Sukha, Moodha, Samaya, Yoga, Darpa, Artha, Smriti, Kshema, Prashraya, and Sri Naranarayana, respectively. Swaha, who was one of the daughters, was given to Agni, and they had three sons: Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi, and they exist by eating oblations offered to the sacrificial fire. And further, they gave birth to 45 demigods. In total, 49 fire gods, 45 plus 3 fathers plus 1 grandfather, Agni. These are the total 49 fire gods. Then the next daughter of Prasuti, Swadha, was married to the Pitris. She was married to the Pitas. And they had two daughters, Vayuna and Dharini, who were expert in knowledge and realization. Then Sati was given to Lord Shiva, and they did not have a child. By the original meaning of the names, the daughters starting with Shraddha are the presiding deities of various Shaktis of Sattva Guna. So these daughters had corresponding qualities. Murti, a form of Shuddha Sattva, should be understood as the Shakti who manifests the Lord himself. Now the appearance of Sri Naranarayana is discussed. On the appearance of Sri Naranarayana Rishi, the entire world was very joyful. Everyone's mind, the directions, the air, the rivers, and the mountains became very pleasant. Naranarayana appeared from Murti. There were celestial celebrations in the heavenly planets. Instruments were sounded, flowers fell from the sky, and the satisfied sages chanted prayers, and the Gandharvas and Kinnaras sang, and damsels danced, and Devatas like Brahma offered their respectful prayers. The prayers of the demigods. They said, "Obeisances unto the Lord, who created this cosmic manifestation which is situated in him, as the air and clouds are situated in space, and who has now appeared in the house of Dharma in the form of a rishi. Let the Supreme Lord, who is understood through the Vedas, and who has created peace and prosperity, destroy all the calamities and glance upon us. His merciful glance can deride the beauty of the spotless lotus, the abode of Lakshmi, Sriniketam." So, thus being worshipped like this, Sri Naranarayana Rishis glanced upon the demigods and departed for the Gandhamadana hill. These two portions of the Lord have entered as Krishna and Arjuna, the best of the Yadu and Kuru dynasty, for relieving the earth of its burden. Thus, Naranarayana Rishis were present within Krishna and Arjuna and were accompanying Krishna and Arjuna to remove the burden of earth. It is not that Krishna and Arjuna were plenary expansions of Naranarayana. Sati, however, who was born Sati, who was married to Lord Shiva, she happened to give up her body before attaining a mature age because of her father Daksha offending Lord Shiva. So this concludes Canto 4, Chapter 1, Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Hare Krishna.